You can tell a lot about a being by what they crave. Let me say it again. You could tell a lot about a being by what they crave. Before I get started, what I said in my last video still stands. So if you've been absorbing versus observing, go ahead and scroll. You can favorite it and come back to it, but if you are feeling any form of anxiety, it is time to pull back. Now, for all of my folks who learned how to observe rather than absorb, let's chat. Y'all know how I talked to y'all before about human beings, and then of course there being other beings, which is why there's a classification of human beings. That's the indication right there that there are, of course, other beings. So now, hypothetically speaking, right? Now that a lot of people have seen a lot of the shit that's coming out of these files, now that you see what these so-called people allegedly wanted to consume, can we have the conversation once again about patterns? For the people that have read the files, I have not read it, by the way, because I've known about this shit for years. Even when I learned about it back then, I said to myself, I said, this goes far beyond bad human behavior. This is downright sinister. See, the thing about sinister behavior, it has signatures. One thing's for certain, two things for sure. Patterns never lie. Think about it like this. Most humans, right, when they do messed up shit, when they do things that we consider to be wrong, right, most humans feel bad. They feel guilty. They feel shame sometimes, emotional conflict. They staying up all night. They can't eat. They can't sleep. All of that. Even criminals hide, okay? Even abusers justify why they did it. Even manipulators lie to themselves. But what I am seeing in a lot of these cases and what I've seen for a long time, this isn't really just harm. We have to look beyond that. This is more like ritualized harm. Stay with me. Calculated harm. Detached harm. The cruelty becomes intentional or even ceremonial. I want you to pause and say something bigger is going on here. How are we going to connect this to the other beings that I talked about before? Ancient texts and mythology and esoteric traditions, non-human or these other beings are often associated with what? Distorted appetites, fascination with the innocence, okay? Control and manipulation. When I say control, I'm talking about like a deep ass obsession with control. You'll also notice a lack of empathy or even like a predatory type of curiosity. Even if you were to put it in perspective, like when you're watching a movie, right? And you see one of the characters unalive another character. Most of the time they go through their own mental bullshit after they did what they did. It's like a standard human reaction. Then I know I've come across some movies and TV shows where some of these characters, they don't give a damn. They do what they do and they go lay down and sleep like a damn baby. What's wild is a lot of these same exact traits that I just described often shows up with the people that have a lot of the power. This is when you unlock those ancestral memories that tell you everything that looks human doesn't always have a human consciousness. I know what you're thinking. Some people are going to say, well, that's just evil humans. I want you to think about it like this. A lot of the disturbing behaviors often appear together. They cluster up, okay? And it's like they repeat over time, over culture. That's the pattern of consciousness. You got to remember a lot of this behavior also involves consumption, domination, humiliation, conspiracy, secrecy, rituals. Esoteric language, consumption equals absorption of energy. Any being that's disconnected from its own divine source is going to do what? Seek that energy or that power externally. Those predatory ass appetites come from internal emptiness. One of the fastest ways to identify otherness, whether psychological or whether symbolic, is by how comfortable they are doing sick ass shit. No remorse, no hesitation, no internal resistance at all, no self-control, no emotional intelligence. That's not your average ego. That is the absence of empathy, which is completely different. Empathy itself is one of the most human traits there is. To put this in a nutshell, There are levels of consciousness that no longer operate from humanity. Somebody constantly dehumanizes others or treats others' bodies like objects, treats suffering like entertainment. I might not be a rocket scientist, but that's a sure sign to me that you're not dealing with a normal, average nervous system. Human bodies don't automatically mean human consciousness. This is exactly why the leak itself is disturbing people so deeply, actually forcing people to confront something very uncomfortable for them. So, hypothetically, symbolically, observationally, if you want to discover otherness, don't look at the face. Honestly, that could be a sure sign too. Look at the appetites. Look at the detachments. Look at what excites them. Look at what they justify. Sinister energy is not misunderstood. That shit is revealing something way deeper. As I always say, once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it, no matter how much you lie to yourself. If topics like this are of interest to you, then you do not want to miss it. I will be in Dallas on March 14th with my great friend Roderick Martin. We'll be discussing almost everything, but especially other beings, especially UFOs, especially cosmic knowledge. For tickets, be sure to tap in. You can head to my website by going to uaura.tech and clicking the events tab, or I'll put the direct link below. I'll get in them comments and let me know your thoughts. Peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.